Present.
Commissioner Campbell,
Here.
Commissioner Blower,
Here.
Commissioner Jewell,
Present.
Commissioner Cook Hawkins, Commissioner Sorensen,
I'm here.
Commissioner Jordan, Commissioner Wesley.
Here. We have a quorum. Are there any additions or changes to the agenda?
Yeah, Mr. Chair, this is Commissioner Jewell. I have some questions regarding the establishment of this particular agenda for this special meeting. At our last meeting, it was decided that we would establish a special meeting for this evening for the continuation of the public hearings PC 20-386 and PC 20-387. And that on this special meeting agenda, and it's to my understanding the only thing that would be included would actually be the calling of the roll, which we've done, public forum, which is required at any meeting, and then the continuation of these two public hearings. The agenda that I have before me has a number of other items listed on the agenda, as well as the PC 20-386 and PC 20-387 under case review. So it's my understanding that the agenda should actually read roll call, public forum, public hearings, continuation, of which those two are listed.
Okay. I think that might be, that is correct, because that was the only two things that we were going to discuss. The minutes, our minutes will be at our next scheduled meeting, shouldn't be on there, and the public forum. Site plan reviews shouldn't be there. Reports, we have no reports. Resolutions, the only question with resolutions, I think I had bylaws, but as I can recall, I think when Kelly sent out the meeting concerning the bylaws, she also attached the information concerning the public hearing. And at those public hearings, I think our only part there is the discussion part on both of those items, because we called for the we included the public at that time. Now, that's my understanding too. I understand that the public in the public forum, I will, if those who want to address some issues in those public hearings, which they will not be able to do with the public hearing, but in the public forum, they may address, make comments concerning PC 20386 and PC 20387. Is there any further discussion about that? Go ahead, Commissioner George.
So Mr. Chair, so does that mean the agenda is then corrected as we've discussed?
Yes.
Okay. I just like the record to show that, so that we're within our parameters.
Okay. The record shall show that. Is there any other additions or changes to the agenda?
Mr. Chair, this is Kelly Thompson.
Hi, Kelly.
I have to do the that statement about the Open Meetings Act and have us go through and announce where we're calling in from.
Okay. And we're going to
go ahead.
Okay, now would be the time that we can do that.
Yes, and we could conclude with the changes or additions to the agenda if you wanted to do that first and then get to this.
Okay.
It's up to you.
Okay, let's conclude with the changes to the agenda. Then we'll do the announcement. Are there any additional changes to the agenda? Hearing none, the chair will entertain a motion
Mr. Chair, this is Commissioner Jewell. We actually, I don't think we need a motion because I'm just raising the question for clarification because at our last regular meeting, we already established what the agenda is going to be.
Okay. So, okay.
And all I wanted to do was just to clarify and that the record shows that this evening's special meeting agenda only has the roll call, clarification of the agenda, public forum, and then the continuation of those public hearings.
Okay.
Which I think the minutes of this special meeting may show that. Unless Kelly, through you, Bob, to Kelly, unless we need to do anything else differently.
I would recommend that the agenda be approved. That can be by a simple voice vote, just so we establish for this special meeting the agenda as presented, or with the changes that were addressed. But I think that was mostly just clarifying things on the record. But I still think it's a good idea that this agenda be approved.
Okay.
Okay, we'll go back. So the chair will, if there's any objections to the agenda, the chair will ask for a voice vote on the agenda as corrected.
And I'm sorry, Mr. Chair, just to clarify, there should be a motion and then support, okay, and then a voice vote.
All right, we'll do a motion then. We'll start back over again.
Okay, Mr. Chair, as Commissioner Jewell, I'll make the motion to clarify the status of this evening's special meeting, which would be geared specifically for public forum and continuation of the public hearings of PC 20-386 and PC 20-387.
Do I hear
support?
Was that Commissioner Campbell for the support?
And also Blauer. Commissioner Blauer also.
Campbell can support.
Okay. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
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 Opposers have the same right. Hearing none. Moving on to the attorney for the public announcement.
Yes, Mr. Chair, this is Kelly Thompson. And here's the statement regarding the Open Meetings Act. All boards and commissions must adhere to all laws established under the Michigan compiled laws and in accordance with the revisions of the Open Meetings Act adopted in Senate Bill 1108 as passed on October 13th, 2020 and signed into law on October 16th, 2020. A public announcement shall be made by each member who is attending the meeting remotely that he or she is attending the meeting remotely, and except for those in military service, stating his or her physical location. So this is what we did last week, announcing the city, county, township, and the state in which you are currently located. So I will ask Bill at this point to call each member and have them give that statement.
Commissioner Ryan?
Yes, I am in the city of Flint, state of Michigan, at home.
And you attended the meeting remotely, right?
And I am attending the meeting remotely. I'm sorry.
Okay.
Commissioner Campbell?
Commissioner Campbell, the city of Flint. I attended the meeting remotely, and I'm in 3rd Ward.
Commissioner Blauer?
Commissioner Blauer, I'm attending remotely, Flint, Michigan, Genesee County.
Commissioner Jewell?
Yes, this is Commissioner Jewell. I'm attending remotely, city of Flint, Genesee County, state of Michigan.
Commissioner Cook Hawkins? Commissioner Sorensen,
I am attending from downtown Flint, Michigan. Genesee County, I am attending remotely.
Commissioner Jordan, Commissioner Wesley,
Yes, Commissioner Wesley. I'm Flint, Michigan. I'm attending the meeting remotely. Thank you. I think that satisfied the Open Meetings Act, and we can move on now. Next item on our agenda is public forum. The public is invited to take part on anything appearing on our agenda this evening. If there are 2 items on our agenda, and if the public wish to address those items, they can do so at this time because they will not have an opportunity to do so when the public hearing commence with the commissioner's discussion of those 2 items, which is PC 20386 and PC 20387. Is there anyone in the public wishing to address the commission? Anyone in the public wishing to address the commission? KZ, are there anyone on the line?
There is no one.
Is there anyone wishing to address the commission? That portion of the public hearing is now closed. At this time, we will resume the public hearing on PC 20386. Is the applicant present and maybe want to make a statement? Or no, the applicants don't necessarily have to make a statement, but are the applicants present for
Yes.
PC 20386? And just for clarification, can we do both of these, specify call one each, and then the applicant is the same on both? And if they're there, we will address these one at a time, but just to make sure that PC 20387, the applicant for both of these is on this Zoom meeting. Am I correct?
Yes.
Okay.
And
We'll
Mr.
start-
Chair, this is Kelly Thompson.
Yes.
Just to answer your question, I think both can be called. Discussion can be held for both as long as they're separate motions.
Okay.
Once the discussion is concluded. Thank you.
All right. So yeah, that's what I was hoping that we could do. So we will call both PC 20386 and PC 20387 at this time, with the understanding that the motions will be separated and voted on separately. Okay. So what is the questions, or the applicant want to make an opening statement, or commissioners want to go back right into discussion, our discussion at this time?
Mr. Chair, this is Commissioner Jewell.
Yes,
It
Commissioner.
was my understanding at our last meeting that the continuation of our discussion was going to be based on the applicant meeting with Suzanne and respective City of Flint department heads, and then a presentation of an appropriate document, memorandum, or working agreement. So I'm of the view of that presentation of related information.
Each commissioner should have received a packet of information concerning that meeting. So the applicant, would you want to address each one of those items in the request of, this note of understanding, this memorandum of understanding at this time?
Yes, I would like Jeff Mason, who's our project manager, to present those items. He and Judge Scott both met with the city of Flint, so they're most familiar with those items.
Is that Carrie? Is that Carrie Steele making that comment?
Yes,
Okay, thank you.
sure.
Thanks, Carrie. This is Jeff Mason, project manager of HED on behalf of GHS, and I'll share these comments with Doug Scott from Rowe Engineering. On Monday, the 2nd of November, we met roughly at 10 o'clock in the morning with Susan Wilcox and Bill Vandercook of the Planning and Development Department. Also joining us was Mark Adis, Corey Kesey, and then Kelly Thompson. We had a bountiful conversation, basically discussing the needs and the desires of the Planning Commission. And from that conversation, the document before you, the 3 key bullet point items was developed and eventually signed by the powers that be that were a part of that discussion. Doug, maybe you want to lead us through bullet point by bullet point, since you're the civil engineer and a majority of these items are civil related, please.
Sure. Yeah, this is Doug Scott from Rowe Professional Services Company. We're doing the civil work on this project, and as Jeff mentioned, we did meet with the group, and these 3 bullet points were originated from basically Mr. Adis's original concerns there, and we tried to basically put them into writing and explain them a little bit more. But bullet item number 1 is basically changing Beach Street South from 10th Street to 12th Street, converting that to two-way traffic, and that would include the striping and any signage that would be required on that. And I guess just as we go through the memo, we have in there that basically the asterisk that the applicant would end up taking care of the costs for these modifications. The second bullet point is Beach Street North from 9th Street north to 5th Street, and that would be converted to two-way traffic. Basically, the signals would include restriping, signal modification, and signage. We are recommending that as part of that we work with Mr. Adis and through a traffic study to just make sure that we get that to cover everything that makes the most sense through that. So that's a little bit of a work in progress, but it would be from 9th Street to 5th Street on that. So, and then Mr. Adis has indicated that it's likely that the lights at 8th and 9th Street would be upgraded as part of the MDOT I-69 project, and those costs could likely be included in the MDOT project. And then bullet point 3 is in regards to the utilities that are within the existing Beach Street, and we also included the utilities that are in Simpson Court. And basically, bullet point A is the abandonment of the 4-inch water main on Beach Street, and we would abandon that water main unless it comes down that the city wants us to keep that utility in place, and if so, in lieu of abandoning it, we would grant a 15-foot wide easement that would allow that to be maintained by the city. B would be abandonment of the gravity sanitary sewer that runs through Beach Street. That sewer only services that section of Beach Street that we'd be abandoning, and that pipe would be cut and capped so properly be abandoned and then filled with flowable fill. C is the relocation of the existing electrical service for the streetlights that runs down Beach Street and over to 9th Street. So that would end up being coordinated with Consumers Energy to provide a new service for that. D would be the abandonment of 4-inch water main. I guess we're jumping over to Simpson Court. That would be the abandonment of the 4-inch water main that runs through Simpson Court. And that would again be cut and capped and abandoned. E is the abandonment of a 8-inch sanitary sewer that runs down south on Simpson Court. And that would again be cut and capped. And then finally, F is in response to one of the comments that the fire chief made regarding the fire hydrant on the intersection of Beach and 10th Street. He was concerned that that needed to remain in place, and our abandonment of Beach Street would not impact that. That hydrant would stay in the same location that it is, and it would remain operable. So that's a summary of what I guess what we discussed and agreed to as part of the vacation.
Okay. Questions from the commission to the applicant?
Mr. Chair, I have a question, please.
Mrs. Simpson, Sorensen?
Sorensen, you say abandonment of Beach Street. Do you, as a one-way street or abandonment?
Okay.
What do you mean? Are we closing part of that? Are you proposing that?
Yeah, yes, I guess what we're here for tonight is to request vacation of Beach Street, basically, so that it, and when I said abandonment, I meant the utilities within the Beach Street corridor that we're talking between 9th and 10th Street.
Okay. Okay, I was, thank you.
Yep.
Scott, my question is, when it says Beach Street North from 9th to 5th, now 5th, right there, that's at the county jail and the courthouse. Is that correct?
Yes.
And I know you're probably familiar, there's a number of accidents now. That's going to be two-way, as my understanding, up to two-way going north and two-way going south. Is that correct?
That's correct.
What are you going to do when it gets to 5th? And now 5th, then folks, I'm assuming that when they get to 5th going north, they have to turn going east on 5th, right?
That would be correct.
You know, they have a trouble with that street going south one way now. It's a number of accidents right at that corner on both sides of 5th. And I'm just trying to figure out what is going to be in place. I see you talking about traffic and one-way signals, but I don't know if there's anything that traffic engineering can do to really call attention to that street right at that corner, because that is a hazardous corner right there.
Yeah, and that obviously we would be redoing the signal there, so that it'd be a two-way signal there. But that's also part of the reason we were recommending that we work with Mr. Adis on a traffic study to basically determine what is the best improvements for that section in there. So that's, I mean, that's in our initial discussions with Mr. Adis, that's what we talked about, is making that two-way right up to that and replacing that signal. The traffic study that we would work through there may slightly change that a little bit as far as exactly how that's signalized too. So, and that would address, like you say, the accidents and stuff as well.
Any other questions from the commission to the applicant?
Mr. Chair.
Yes.
I'm very familiar with that corner and working downtown, and there is a tremendous amount of traffic that Beach Street carries going south to the expressway and whatnot, particularly at 5 o'clock in the afternoon. And I'm very familiar with that corner as well. And I just don't see it working. If we could like move that down to 6th or 7th Street would be better. But like I said, I've seen too many accidents there myself. There's been an attorney hit by a car at that corner. It's, I don't know, I think we need to rethink this.
Okay.
Very concerning.
Other concerns from the commission to the
Yeah,
applicant?
Mr. Chair, this is Commissioner Jewell. My question is actually to Suzanne, if that's appropriate, or I can wait till later.
Go ahead. Suzanne is on the line, and she was part of the meeting, so I don't see why not.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Okay, Suzanne, I'm looking at. Thank you ever so much for the meeting and putting this document together. And I would just, if we agree with this, I think we need to put some kind of title heading on this versus just modifications required. So there's some kind of semblance of that this is some sort of an agreement. Secondly, I noticed that the signatures are Mr. Winarski, Mr. Itis, and yourself, Suzanne. What kind of commentary have we received from the fire marshal and from traffic engineering?
The commentary that we received from the fire marshal, and I will actually let Bill speak to this because he did have conversations with the fire marshal. And I think it was addressed at the bottom that the fire hydrant at the intersection of Beach Street and 10th Street will remain in place. I think that there was potentially a misunderstanding on the fire marshal's part. He thought that this was actually being removed, and after conversation between us and Genesee Health System and our staff, Bill Vandercook, it became clear that they do not intend to remove that fire hydrant. It is going to stay there, and based upon that conversation, he was comfortable with that. I will defer to Bill because he communicated that verbally to us, but we did ask him for it in writing, and I do not know if we received it yet. So Bill, can you confirm whether he was going to send us an email confirming his verbal conversation? And I don't know that we actually received that yet, but he did confirm to Bill that was satisfactory.
Okay,
And that's why it's included.
Vandercook,
That's why it's included in this agreement at this point, because he confirmed it. And I'm sorry, you also asked about, and Bill, I'm sorry, Bill, for interrupting, but you also asked about the traffic engineer, and the traffic engineer was comfortable with Mark Adis's concerns being addressed in this document. And he said that, excuse me, if Mark, and Mark is on the call too, but if Mark's suggestions were adhered to, then he had no problem with the proposal as presented. And so those recommendations are incorporated into this agreement. And we did have conversations with both of them.
Okay.
And then Bill can add to the conversation about the fire marshal.
Commissioner Wesley, can I add to that comment?
Yes, go ahead.
Just restating what Suzanne said, that the fire marshal was under the assumption that the fire hydrant had to be moved. He now understands that it doesn't have to be moved after re-examining the drawings. Corey Christensen and myself reviewed that with him. Also, on this agreement, item number 3F, it says if it becomes necessary to relocate the hydrant, this will be accompanied as part of this project. That's in the agreement because in the future, if that hydrant is left in a position that it could become a hazard, a traffic hazard, the fire marshal may request that to be moved. And we won't know that until there's a site plan prepared and it comes before the commission for site plan approval.
Okay. Thank you ever so much. I just wanted to follow up from our last conversation that based on the written commentary that we received at our last meeting, there were questions and concerns. The concern that I would have if we move forward on this particular document, we'd probably need to have some sort of written confirmation both from the fire marshal and from the traffic engineer. So that's just my commentary.
This
Scott,
is Commissioner Ryan.
oh, go ahead, Commissioner Ryan.
I would like to, probably this would be to Suzanne. Is this the only impact as far as lights on 8th and 9th Street to the MDOT I-69 project? Because I
I
noticed
will
that it's
defer that question. Sorry. I'm sorry, Commissioner Ryan. Go ahead.
because I noticed that they say that it will be part of the future MDOT project. And by that being a two lane, I'm wondering, is the MDOT coming through that way? And the only thing that's going to be needed is light changes, because I don't know any information about, I know it's in the future, but I'm just asking, as you know, what is that the only impact?
I'm going to defer that question to Mark Adis, who is on this call. And just so you know, I think most of you know this, but when we received this document, it was routed through all of the departments. And so Mark Adis, as the responsible entity for traffic engineering, and that's why Rod Magaha, I think, deferred to Mark to answer, I guess, Commissioner Jewell's question too. Traffic engineering, I'm sorry, Mark Adis and the city engineer is responsible for that. So I'll defer to you, Mark, to respond to that question.
Chairman Wesley, this is Mark Adis.
Okay.
MDOT is planning on redoing the service drives along with the I-69 thing. I have talked to them. The only impact will be adjusting their lights to meet our criteria at those two intersections.
Okay.
Can I just add one more thing related to Commissioner Jewell's request for the traffic engineer, Rod Magaha, something in writing from him. He did his comments, I think, on the first one. He provided his comments, but then he also said that he was comfortable with it based. I don't know that it's necessary that we get something from the traffic engineer. I'm sorry, I hear I'm breaking up.
Yeah, you got a reverb going on.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, sorry about that. Let me see. I'm going to try and get off speaker here.
Chairman Wesley, this is Mark Adis.
Yeah, Mark.
I work closely with.
Can you hear me now?
Okay, Suzanne, we had Mark on while you were trying to get off speaker. Can I go back to Mark?
Yes, please.
Okay, Mark, go ahead.
I work closely with Rod Magaha. We discussed this and he agreed with doing what he said here. We're still working out all the details, but that'll be part of the traffic study.
Okay. Well, Mark, okay. Mark, while I got you there, on 9th Street going east at Beach, how is that closed off going to be there? How are you going to close that off? Because from 10th to 12th is going to be two-way, right? So what configuration will that look like for someone when they're coming down going south on Beach? And
when they get to 9th South, there'll be two left-hand turn lanes.
So they're gonna have to turn. They will turn. And
correct.
What type of barrier? What is that going to look like? What type of barrier is going to be used so they cannot proceed on through there? Or
curb, the road will have to be removed and curb line will have to be put in there.
Okay, so that would stop that. All right.
Mr. Chair?
Yes.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Go ahead,
I
Suzanne.
needed some clarification. So when we're headed south on Beach Street and we hit 9th Street, which really is the North Service Drive, okay? So we're gonna have 2 lanes that make a left-hand turn.
Yeah,
And where are,
Right.
we won't be turning right to go and get on the expressway, and we won't be going
No, you can-
straight.
you, to turn on 8th Street,
You turn on 8th to go to the expressway.
if you're going west on the expressway.
Okay, all right.
And
So
9th
Street is the South Service Drive.
Right.
Okay, so I'm gonna,
Go to either Saginaw Street or get on to 90 or 6.
69, okay.
Okay.
All right, I'm just trying to visualize it here.
It is confusing.
Y'all figured it out. Suzanne, you had something you wanted to finish up now? No? Suzanne, can you hear me? Okay, let's, any other questions from the commissioners to the applicant? Commissioner Blauer, you have any questions?
I have none. I thank all that are involved with making this document. I think they compiled all the comments from the departments into very concise. I went through kind of the application and the comments from last meeting, and I think they addressed all of them. So I appreciate it. Thank you.
Okay. I think Commissioner Campbell, I know you have any questions or comments at this time?
No, not at this time. I think after speaking with you and Commissioner Jewell earlier, that I got a clearer understanding. And so I'm fine with it now.
Very well.
I do have one concern though before we vote on this. Can you tell me exactly 1, 2, and 3? What is PC 386 and PC 387, since we're going to be voting separately on each one? What numbers will that be?
Right. You want me to address that?
Yes, go ahead, please.
So 386 is Beach Street, and that would be basically items 1, 2, and 3. But number 3, it would include basically A, B, and C, and F. And then 387 would only be 3, D, and E.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Are there any more questions from the commissioner to the applicant? Hearing none, I'll call PC 20386 Genesee Health System, request street vacation at 1415 Beach Street between 9th and 10th Street. What is the desire of the commission?
Mr. Chair, this is Commissioner Jewell. I am comfortable with the discussion that we've had and the documentation that was presented to us, as well as the verbal confirmations. However, I'm willing to make a motion to accept this with the understanding that there be, I think it's important to include in this document a reference to the fact that review was made both with traffic engineering and the fire marshal in confirmation. I know that was verbally shared with that, but I think it would be appropriate to add that. And so if that's something that, Suzanne, you are comfortable in fulfilling, I guess I just wanted to check with you first on that.
KZ, do we lose Suzanne? KZ?
Yes, and I hope you can hear me. Yes, we're coming. Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
It's
Hello?
Craig.
Hello?
Hold on.
Hello?
Okay, go ahead, Suzanne.
I'm not sure what's going on, but yes, I can agree to that, Commissioner Jewell, and we can make that happen.
Okay, thank you.
Go ahead, Commissioner Jewell.
Yeah, unless there's any other commentary from my fellow commissioners, I will make a motion to approve PC 20-386 Genesee Health System request for a street vacation of 1415 Beach Street between 9th and 10th Street, with the understanding of the agreement documentation with an addition of confirmation by the fire marshal and traffic engineer. I would also like to add in that motion that availability be made to the chairperson of the Planning Commission for monitoring purposes.
I don't know if you need to add that. I always got availability to monitor. Okay. Do I have a support to the motion?
Commissioner Blauer, support.
It's been moved and properly support. Any further discussion? Commissioner Jewell, I thought you had something to say there.
No, well, not regarding the approval of this.
Okay.
I need some, Mr. Chair, I need some clarification here. We are, this motion is to, I thought this 387 was the Simpson Court vacation of the Simpson Court. That's what I have at the top of.
No, 386 is for Beach Street. 387 is for Simpson Court.
Okay, so we have a motion going on 386?
386.
Okay. Thank you.
All right. It's been moved and properly supported that PC 20386 Genesee Health System requests for street vacation of 1415 Beach Street between 9th and 10th Street be approved with the addition, with the understanding that we will get reference from the traffic engineering and fire marshal to be reviewed by Ms. Suzanne Wilcox. That's pretty sure. Roll.
Commissioner Ryan?
Yes.
Commissioner Campbell?
Yes.
Commissioner Blauer?
Yes.
Commissioner Jewell?
Yes.
Commissioner Cook Hawkins? Commissioner Sorensen?
I believe I have to abstain from this vote. Thank you.
Commissioner Jordan? Commissioner Wesley?
Yes. To the applicant, PC 20386 Genesee Health System requests for street vacation of 1415 Beach Street between 9th and 10th be approved. That has been approved at this stage. Now, does this go to City Council for further review? I think
it does. Yes,
okay.
It's required. The next step is a City Council setting a public hearing for both of the street vacations, and then approval or acting by the City Council on those same street vacations.
I thought, okay. So this will be forward on to, this approval will be forward on to City Council with our notes.
Yes.
Regarding the
Yes,
approval.
Commissioner.
Okay. Next will be PC 20387 Genesee Health Systems request for street vacation at 1410 Simpson Court between 9th and 10th Street. The chair will entertain a motion at this time.
Yeah, Mr. Chair, this is Commissioner Jewell. As noted for the previous motion, again, I'll make a motion for the approval of PC 20-387, Genesee Health System request of street vacation of 1410 Simpson Court between 9th and 10th Street, which is actually located on your map right behind the present building and parking lot. And again, with the understanding of information and added to the agreement.
Okay, it's been moved. I hear support for the motion.
Commissioner Blauer,
Commissioner
support.
Ryan.
Commissioner Ryan, she hit the button quicker.
Okay.
We got support by Commissioner Blauer. Any further discussion on the motion? Hearing none, the chair will call for the roll.
Commissioner Ryan,
Yes.
Commissioner Campbell,
Yes.
Commissioner Blauer,
Yes.
Commissioner Jewell,
Yes.
Commissioner Cook Hawkins, Commissioner Sorensen,
I was abstaining, please.
Commissioner Jordan, Commissioner Wesley.
Yes, that motion has been approved and will be forwarded on to City Council for their deliberations. That concludes our public hearing.
Mr. Chair, yeah.
Yes.
Well, yeah, Mr. Chair, before, this is Commissioner Jewell. I'd just like to make a notation before you officially close the public hearing aspect of both of these. After approval by City Council, if staff could include these two items on our regular agenda under case review as to an update.
We will do that, Commissioner Jewell.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, hearing no further discussion. Oh, before I go, Attorney Thompson, Kelly, did you disappear on me?
I'm here, Mr. Chair.
Could you give me a call? I just discussed item I asked you that you was going to look into for me about Detroit ordinance.
Yes, I will call you after the meeting.
Okay, very well. Here we've dealt with the business that we called this special meeting for, and I'd like to thank each commissioner for making themselves available for this commission. And I thank you very much. So the chair will entertain a motion now for adjournment. You guys don't want to get off the air, huh?
Yeah, that's it.
Commissioner Campbell, so move.
It's been moved. I hear support.
Jewell,
Commissioner Blauer, support.
Now I got all that support. Hey, thanks everybody for joining the meeting, and have a good
Thank
evening.
you.
All right.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. Have a great evening.
All righty.
Chairman Wesley, how about that football game Saturday?
Oh, I don't know anything about that.
Hail to the